This is the story whose gist Aunt Evelyn conveyed to my mother when she appeared at our house in the hours after Rabbi Benkelsdorf was taken in handcuffs from the Washington Hotel by agents of the FBI. More fully elaborated, it is the story told in My Life Under Lindbergh, the 550-page apologia published as an insider's diary just after the war by Rabbi Benkelsdorf, and dismissed then in a press statement by a spokesman for the Lindbergh family as a reprehensible calumny with no basis in fact, motivated by vengeance and greed, sustained by egomaniacal delusion, invented for the sake of crass commercial exploitation, and one that Mrs. Lindbergh will not dignify with further response. When my mother first heard the story, it seemed to her conclusive evidence that the shock of witnessing Rabbi Benkelsdorf's arrest had temporarily caused her sister to lose her mind. The day after Aunt Evelyn's surprise visit was Friday, October 16, 1942, when Mrs. Lindbergh, before returning to the White House, went on the air from a secret Washington location based solely on her authority as spouse of the 33rd President of the United States, pronounced the injurious history of usurpation implemented by the administration of the acting president to be ended. Whether any harm befell her kidnapped child as a consequence of the First Lady's bravery, whether Charles Jr. had ever even survived his infancy to suffer the dreadful fate that Himmler had promised, let alone to endure the childhood of a privileged ward and treasured hostage of the German state, whether Himmler, Göring, and Hitler had anything of importance to do with fostering Lindbergh's rise to political eminence as an America Firster, or shaping U.S. policy during the 22-month Lindbergh presidency, or implementing Lindbergh's mysterious disappearance, have been matters of controversy for over half a century, though by now a far less impassioned and widespread controversy than when, for some 30-odd weeks in 1946, and despite its oft-quoted characterization by Westbrook Pegler, the dean of America's Roosevelt-hating right-wing journalists, as the crackpot diary of a certifiable mythomaniac, My Life Under Lindbergh remained at the top of the American bestseller lists along with two personal biographies of FDR, who had died in office the previous year, only weeks before the unconditional surrender of Nazi Germany to the Allies marked the end of World War II in Europe. And that is the end of Chapter 8.